name is Sarah Lewis, and I'm one of the pastors here. On behalf of our First Baptist Church family, we are so grateful that each and every one of you have come to participate in this conversation event. We are glad as a church to partner with Georgia Center for the Book and Charis Books to put on these conversation events in our community. Just a few housekeeping particulars. We have a men's bathroom through that door and a women's restroom through this door. Again, we are so grateful you're here, and we hope that you enjoyed this evening's conversation.
Thank you to Pastor Lewis. Thank you to everyone from First Baptist Church of Decatur. We are always so grateful to be in this space. It is such a vibrant community, and being able to participate in the heart of Decatur with an event like this is always just so exciting. So thank you all for coming out to this space. Thanks for being with us tonight. My name is E.R. Anderson. I'm the executive director of Charis Circle. Charis Circle is the nonprofit programming arm of Charis Books, and Charis Books is the South's oldest independent feminist bookstore. When you buy books from us, you are supporting a 51-year-old feminist institution. We are very grateful for your support. It really does mean a lot when you buy your books from us. We do also have another bookseller on the stage tonight, Dr. Key, who I'm going to introduce now. But when you buy your books, when you support authors, especially in this time when truth-telling is more and more difficult and punished, it really, really means a lot. So thank you for taking the time out of your day to be with us, and thank you for spending your money with us too. It really means a lot. So I want to first introduce our conversation partner. Dr. Lakeysha Key Hallmon, Ed.D., is a mission-forward visionary, author, and social entrepreneur celebrated for her unique village model, renowned for its innovative structure and community-centered approach. Dr. Hallmon has expanded her mission with The Village Retail, a flagship retail store for Black brands. Dr. Key is the author of No One is Self-Made, Build Your Village to Flourish in Business and Life. And that's a book you're going to want to get right back there if you don't know about it. She's been recognized by esteemed publications such as Forbes, Inc., Magazine, Essence, Black Enterprise, CNN, HLN, The Today Show, and more. As a board member for Invest Atlanta, Dr. Hallmon continues to advocate for equitable opportunities within the business and affordable housing landscape. Dr. Hallmon serves on the board of trustees for Tougaloo College. Dr. Hallmon is a proud member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority, Inc. I know I saw at least one AKA. All right. So welcome to all the AKAs. And welcome to Dr. Key. Thank you for being with us. And yes. And the person of the hour is Nedra Glover Tawwab. She's a licensed therapist and the author of Set Boundaries, Find Peace, an instant New York Times bestseller, translated into over 35 languages worldwide. In addition, she has authored 7 other books, including Drama Free and most recently, The Balancing Act, which we are celebrating tonight. A sought-after relationship expert, she has practiced relationship therapy for almost 20 years. With more than 2.5 million followers across her social media platforms, Tawwab has appeared as an expert on Red Table Talk, The Breakfast Club, Good Morning America, and CBS Morning Show, to name a few. Her work has been highlighted in the New York Times, The Guardian, and Vice, and has appeared on numerous podcasts, including The School of Greatness, We Can Do Hard Things, and 10% Happier. She lives in Charlotte, North Carolina with her family, and we are so glad to have her here tonight. So my little bit of housekeeping is just that we will have about 45 minutes of conversation, and then we will open it up for questions. If you are able to physically come to the mic, please do so. If you're not and you want to ask a question, please raise your hand and I'll bring the microphone to you. We do ask that you ask a question. And I know sometimes the impulse is to share, which is beautiful, but we want to get to as many questions as possible. So try and think ahead about how to phrase your question so that we can get to as many as possible. Without further ado, please put your hands together one more time for Nedra.
Y'all, we have to do this one more time because we have to make sure that Nedra has an Atlanta welcoming. So make some noise. You feel Atlanta welcome?
I think this has been the best welcome so far. So, yes.
All right, y'all tell Houston that because that's where she's going next.
Oh. I'm
starting stuff. Nedra, before we jump into this conversation tonight, how do you arrive in this moment? How do you feel today?
Wow, I feel really grateful. Like when I hear that bio, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I did all that stuff. Like I feel overwhelmed with gratitude.
So I know you all heard this, not one time, but 2 times, New York Times best-selling author, 2 times. And she had the audacity to write another book, one that we are here to celebrate tonight. How did you know that the balancing act was the message that was needed for 2026?
Ooh. I feel like my clients teach me whatever the next book is supposed to be. Like the work becomes this new thing, and I found myself talking a lot about needing more community, being more flexible with our boundaries, absolutely having them, but how we need to shift them based on who we're in relationship with. Because there was this idea that all boundaries were utilized for all people in all situations. And I was like, I think we need an update. And so I feel like there is space for us to be better dependent in relationships. And when people hear that, it's like dependency, that's like a bad word. And it's like, actually, it's very healthy and we all do it, or we should. And how do I talk about healthy ways to be dependent where we're not codependent, we're not doing everything on our own, we're not in mesh, but we're showing up and building connection without losing ourselves, and now we don't have an identity. Like, how do we do this thing that's possible in relationships?
Mm-hmm. What did you learn about yourself as you was writing this love offering?
You ain't tell me I was gonna ask.
Yeah, I just want y'all to know I am not following the script. And we had a whole conversation in the back. You ready? Okay.
Oh gosh, what did I learn about myself? Not learn, but I realized. So in one chapter, I believe it's chapter 2, I talk about attachment styles. Mm-hmm. And one thing that I realized is the way in which I have been avoidant. I'm not as avoidant anymore, but I used to be pretty avoidant. Like I've had to talk myself back into good relationships. With friends, with dating. Like I used to be a person who's like, I'm only gonna have 5 friends. And it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 wanna come? No, too many people. Or, I would meet a nice person and I'm like, I probably shouldn't date them. Like for no reason, just like I need my space, or I shouldn't attach to this thing. Like just a lot of boundaries that were there just from, life scenarios, growing up, that sort of thing. So in writing this, I was like, oh my gosh, like I remember like so many scenarios where I had to like talk myself through the discomfort of letting people in. Like I could remember dating somebody who wanted to see me every day, and I was like, whoa, too much. Like this is a lot. What's wrong with him? Right? Like
you were again? Like insert boundary.
Break up with this guy. Like he is bad news. But actually he wasn't. So yeah, I think that, and in looking at myself in the material, it brings this awareness like, wow, we are capable of change. Like it is a lot of discomfort that comes with going from being avoidant to secure. and it's not fixed, right? Like a lot of times with attachment styles, we feel, there's so much stuff online about attachment styles. Yeah. We feel like it's a fixed identity. Like if I'm avoidant, if I'm anxious, like this is the way I'll always be. And in actuality, you can change it. It does require some practice. It requires some, a whole lot of discomfort, but it is something that we can move through.
And you also write about that you don't have to be one thing in this book as well. Can you unpack the attachment styles the way that you did so in the book?
So avoidant. So with the avoidant attachment style, you tend to have more hyper independence. Like you have a comfort and freedom with doing things on your own. You don't trust other people's ability to help you with things, or you may not even see a need to ask for help because you think you're like a master at doing these things. In therapy, this shows up a lot when, sometimes people get married and they're like doing all the things on their own and they hit this breaking point and they're like, nobody's helping me. Now I'm resentful and I'm mad. And we have to talk about, well, here are all the ways you push them away. Here are all the opportunities and offerings of support that you had that you declined. So let's talk about how to go back and shift that. I see anxious avoidant people where they are just worried about their relationships all the time. And those people tend to have more codependent and enmeshed situations because they want to keep people around, sometimes to their own detriment. So they are willing to do and give in ways that can sometimes be a little bit unhealthy, and they certainly lose themselves in those connections. When a person is anxious, they are more worried about like, what does this person think? What are they feeling about me? What's going on with the relationship? And then we have those folks who are disorganized, where they're kind of all over the place with their attachment style. And hopefully, we develop some strategies to be more secure in our connections, which is more of the healthy dependency, where we can ask for help, accept it. We are confident with setting boundaries. We accept boundaries from other people. We can show up for folks. We allow them to show up for us. We're not seeming like we're needless. We're not giving of ourselves in ways that's harmful. So we can get there. And I think if we look at our relationships, just like all of them, right? In some instances, you might be avoidant. In other instances, you might be anxious. In some, you might be secure. So this is what I mean by it's not fixed. Sometimes it's person dependent. It is dependent on where we meet them, when we meet them. So it's not like every person I meet, I'm avoidant. Well, are you that way with your sibling that you have a really close relationship with? Are you that way with, so thinking about it not just as this is my personality, because I feel like that's where it has gone. Like, I'm an avoidant person. It's like, you have some tendencies sometimes in some situations. And in others, you seem to be very secure. So how do we maximize the security in this relationship?
And so you all heard that right. It depends on the person, right? So some people bring out some things, some people bring out another thing, right? But when Nedra talks about it, it's not fixed. Now, I asked her this question in as we were catching up in the back. Now, what happens when someone reads this book and they're like, whoa, I'm the problem? It's me. What do they do with themselves? And I said them. I didn't say me. So what do they do with themselves?
Well, first you must play the theme song, Taylor Swift's song, It's Me High, right? I'm the problem. No, but I think there is an opportunity to make small steps. And very often when we find out like, dang, maybe I'm the problem, we feel like it's so overwhelming. We don't want to do the smallest thing. I was telling you like how I'm trying to develop my patience around people moving slower than me, because I can move very fast, right? Like I'm gonna talk fast. I'm like, okay, hi, bye, and then I'm on to the next thing. Like I'm all over the place, which is good in some ways. I wrote 7 books in a few years, so it works sometimes, but other times
Hold on. Do y'all see how she just dropped that receipt in there? How many books? 7. All right.
Okay. But other times it's like, wow, like I have to, allow people to like finish their sentence, and not in the therapy space, but like in the real world. I feel like I'm just like, I want to be on to the next thing. And so one of the things I'm practicing right now is like just in the Uber on the way over here, I called somewhere and the lady was just talking very slow. And she was just like, yes, and, thank you for calling. And I'm kind of like, well, I have the information I want to hang up, right? Like, that's where I was. I wanted to just hang up. But I was like, you know what? Breathe. Like, your natural tendency is to just be like, I'm done with the conversation. This is over. Don't do that. And I'm just sitting there and I'm like, okay, you too. Have a good week. Enjoy your week as well. All right. Bye. How many pleasantries she gonna give? But you know what? Yeah. I changed. I sat through it and I was like, it's possible. Look, it's happening right now. It was very uncomfortable. Like, that's why I got this ginger ale. I think she made my stomach hurt. I was like, that was a lot of practice. I was using a lot of skills there. So yeah, I think when we're doing new things, we have this idea it's supposed to feel good too. Yeah. Like we're supposed to leap for joy. Like, oh my gosh, I'm avoidant and I'm getting into these relationships. I feel great. It's like, no, it feels icky. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, I'm anxious and I am not gonna text them again. It's gonna feel really bad. And so all of the changes that, you may feel like you need to make is very slow. And in a month, maybe I'll make a newsletter about my progress with being patient with people as they slowly talk on the telephone when you call the dentist. Yes.
I told her in the back, y'all, welcome to the South. Where there's a lot of pleasantries. But what I hear, I think is very important. As I was reading this book, y'all, and it's phenomenal. So I can't wait until you all have time to really sit with the pages. As I was reading the book, as things was coming up, I was like, okay, Key, there's an area that you can elevate, area that you can grow. And so I was taking things, especially the reflection questions, piece by piece. Mm-hmm. As you were writing those reflection questions, where did you want to guide or take the reader chapter by chapter?
I think so often when we read self-help books, it's just like, that was good, that was good, that was good, and there's not really process and practice. And so I wanted the reflection questions to be something you process and have the opportunity to actually practice, because that's when the self-help book is an actionable process.
That is how as I was looking at it, as I told y'all, this book is not about the ways I need to grow. But the areas that may sound like the ways I needed to grow, I would highlight those sections in the book, and then I would pinpoint the reflection question that made me sit with it the longest. The ones that I had to be like, oh, that ain't me. Then I was like, that's you. I had to really sit with that. So Nedra did a really great job of helping to guide and unpack where it wasn't overwhelming. So thank you. So thank you for that. Can we go back just a little bit to young Nedra?
Oh, okay.
Okay, another one, y'all. Any mothers in the audience?
Okay.
Okay, good deal. Yeah, I do too. I want to talk about, you write about your daughter in the book. She's 9 years old. But before we talk about her, I want to talk about young Nedra. Mm-hmm. What pages of this book did young Nedra need?
Well, I grew up as a hyper independent kid. My mother was a single mother, and she proudly wanted you to do stuff on your own. I found my children's Bible on a trip recently back home. I got my children's Bible, and inside the Bible is instructions on how to make cornbread from my mama. I'm like, well, how old was I with this children's Bible? Was I 7 making cornbread? But it was, it was to her advantage. And, it's very helpful for her to be like, well, go make your own stuff or go do your own thing. Like, when I look at my kids and the level of parenting that I have to do, it's like completely different. Like, my kids be like, can you come play with me? And I do it. And I be like, I don't remember playing with my mama. Spades, but
That's true.
and she was playing for real. If you renege, she was like, give me them books. Like she was not playing like you was a kid. I'm like, Mom, I'm sorry. She's like, you put it down, it's staying down. So no compassion. It was not compassionate spades at all. But it's just such a difference, like the things that my kids can come to me for and ask me about and have the freedom to, have conversations with me about. It's like, wow, like I didn't get that. And I don't think it was like I got the impression my mom didn't have time. It was like almost like a lot of stuff I was equipped to do, like at an early age. When I moved out at 18, I was like, know how to live. Like all the things I already knew how to do, it was, it was in there. Which in some ways it's a good thing, but in others it's like I can remember moments like young 20s, it was like figure it out on your own, because that's the messaging I got, like figure it out. And so my kids at 9 and 12, they have the opportunity to ask a lot of questions, and I love that for them, that they get, a compassionate spades game. Yeah, and that they get to, have me in a different, softer way, and the ability to have a level of supervision that I didn't experience. Yeah.
And I ask, the mothers in the audience or parents in the audience, how would you want parents to arrive at this book in relationship with their children?
Yeah, I think sometimes we think whatever our story is, it should be sometimes that way for our kids, right? Like, well, I experienced it, they should too, or I didn't have that and they don't need to have it. And we have to recognize that when some things happen for us, it wasn't good for us either. Like, yeah, it had to happen. My mom was a single parent, but I didn't really need to be responsible for a house key in 3rd grade. Like, I didn't need that level of responsibility. Like, my kids, when I look at them, I'm like, you really, I can't trust you to close the microwave well. So, you really don't need to be in the house by yourself. What could happen? All sorts of stuff. And I think in that time, especially like in the 80s, it was like put on kids. Like, you set your house on fire. It was like, actually, I shouldn't have been here. I mean, yeah, it happened, but whose fault is it, right? It's not really my fault. I'm 10. But I do think it's important that we recognize the way in which we were parented and that we're honest about the things that we actually do not need to repeat. Like, some experiences kids just don't need to have, whether we had them or not. Like, really, what was the growth tool? One of the things I do with my clients, they're kids too, but with my clients is when they have been the sort of person who's been very responsible or mature for their age, I have them go to the store and look at like the age of the toys you're supposed to play with, because a lot of times it's like they didn't get that in childhood. When you think about it, it's like, dang, that's what I was supposed to be doing at 12. That's what I was supposed to be doing at 8. Yeah, and here it was, you were raising your siblings. You weren't even playing with Baby Alive. You skipped Baby Alive and had a real baby to keep alive. So that's some pretty interesting childhood moments, and it could have been necessary, but it doesn't mean it's okay. That's a huge responsibility for a 12-year-old. So we have to acknowledge when we experience something and it's not anything that anybody else needs to re-experience.
And just because you were good at it does not mean it was the correct way or the best way.
Yes, yes. I love that you say that, just because you were good at it. For the folks in the room who feel like they are natural problem solvers, they're the responsible one, everybody comes to them for everything, there are so many cues to becoming that sort of person. Like, you're so good at listening. Like, that's why I'm a therapist. I was listening to all the adults with their problems. Like, asking questions like, oh, what's your boyfriend do? Like, you know, just like in the business. Like, yeah, like I was like listening and observing, and that's really good. And I'm happy I figured out, like, wow, this is actually a job. I don't have to do this with people and, you know, it just be a thing. But I feel like sometimes we are taught, like, you are the person who's good at planning trips. You are the person who does the best holiday thing. You are the person who listens. You are the person who this. And we need to shed that sometimes. Like, other people need to practice this skill too. So I need to release it. The only way that they can get better is if I step back. Somebody else has to learn how to make a turkey. Somebody else has to learn how to listen to people. Somebody else has to learn how to plan a vacation. It doesn't need to be me all the time.
I won't make eye contact, but I'm sure she's speaking to somebody's who we have to start practicing those healthy boundaries.
Yeah.
Going back to that. In another area, staying there just for a little bit, I think there's also a sense of validation if you're the person that's always called. That a level of self-worth is tied to being the person always on the receiving end. Can you talk a little bit about that as well?
Yeah, there is something that people are getting from being that helper. And I just wonder, in what other ways could we channel that energy? Are there other things we could do that maybe we can feel that need? You know, I think about, I'm just going to say it. My mama sometimes with some of these family members that she have, I ain't going to say we, but some of her family members. And, you know, so she is like, I'm just trying to help them. And I'd be like, girl, are they helped yet? Because it's the same help that you just gave.
That's good.
You might want to take that help that you given to the food bank. That might be a better use of that energy. Because sometimes people aren't actually growing from this thing that we're doing with them. And I get it. You want the fulfillment of feeling helpful. Like, that makes sense. But I wonder, in what instances could you actually be helping a person and not enabling them?
That is worthy of a clap. That is very good. Now, as I was reading, Nedra and I have something in common. I wrote a book, No One is Self-Made, and as I was reading Nedra's book, she talks about being, or this notion of what created this self-made myth. We landed on the same page with that. That was kind of smooth, no pun intended. But we landed on the same page with this whole concept of self-made. Talk about how unhealthy that is, and go into individualism as well.
Yeah. When we erase people from the process, it is leaving out how we got to where we are. And even, you know, even when we have some moments that weren't what we wanted them to be, like, how did I learn from that? How did I grow from that? Claudia Black, she's a therapist who does a lot of work with children of alcoholics and addicts. And one of the things she talks about is, like, when the bad thing happened, what did you learn? Right? So it's still like there is some growth in all of it. There are some people along the way who said something good or bad that put you to the next thing. Even the ex is like, well, they got you to the new person. You know, so if we think about like, I am not like my own entity, like there are people helping me. I'm not making my own clothes. I'm not like, I am in the world with other people. I can lean on them. I think we have more of a community focused outlook instead of this individualism of I have done everything on my own and I have to keep doing it on my own, which is it's unhealthy because it's untrue. And it will burn you out trying to do that.
What got us to this place? I know that it's profoundly untrue. I think it also erodes what is so powerful about this room. This room is a myriad of extremely talented, beautiful, gifted people, and it's a reflection only of a small fraction of how important Atlanta is. That's how I see community. That's how I see these settings. How did we get to this, going back to the attachment styles, how did we get to this place of this whole self-made notion?
When we are hurt, we carry it from relationship to relationship to experience to experience. And if you've had someone along the way, as a therapist, I don't want to say everything goes back to childhood, but if you had scenarios with your parents or, you know, childhood situations, or sometimes when you're an adult and you learn that you can't rely on other people, you think that applies to everyone and not the people who you couldn't rely on. So it becomes not that I can't rely on my mom, it's like I can't rely on anybody. Because if I can't rely on my mom, who else would be there for me? And it's like a whole lot of people. It's a whole lot of people who could be there for you if your mom or whoever can't. But our brain is like, no, it can't be anybody else, so I just have to do everything on my own. So there is this hurt that comes up that creates more independence. And what is best for us is to figure out the people that we can trust, the people that we can rely on, to figure out what are some positive cues of trust, and to build that with people and not just say, I'm gonna forget about people. That's I don't wanna say the easy way out, but it can be more comfortable to not have to deal with the discomfort of trusting people, of allowing them in, because there is some vulnerability to that. There is this possibility that it won't work out, or it won't work out for as long as you want it to. So, you know, I see how we become like, I want to do it all on my own. I don't want community. But, you know, to our detriment, we don't have people.
So if someone, if that's an area where in this particular room where it's been harder to trust, harder to build new relationships, and it may be due to family things, what is that first step?
You know, one thing we could do is think about some of the folks who have already offered support and we have declined it. Many times people say, well, let me know if you need anything, and we don't let them know. Yeah. Or there is someone who is inviting us to things and we're taking it very lightly. You know, they're always like, come over for Sunday dinner, and I'd be like, okay, and you never go. Sometimes we have to go back. And we have to say, well, there was this person who said that they wanted to help me. Maybe I need to think of a thing to give them so they can actually help me. Maybe there are some relationships that I dropped the ball on, that I need to pick up and say, oh, I haven't called you in months. Like, I saw you texting me, I didn't respond. What are some things that I already have in motion that I need to rekindle before we go meet any new people? Because I think we have this idea like, oh my gosh, I have to go meet all these new people, and sometimes we already have them. We just need to nurture what we have. There may be a cousin somewhere in your phone book, you're not nurturing a relationship enough. There may be a coworker, there may be a friend you've lost contact with. There may not be a need for new things. It's just like, what do I already have where I need to do a better job of caring for that relationship?
That's good. Y'all know the job. We got to clap for that. It's very good. You do a great job of writing about communication, and that there's no fixed way to communicate with all people. can you talk a little bit about the multitudes of relationships that we have? And without giving too much away in the book, how can we handle effective communication, being that the needs of people are different?
Well, I think effective communication is always a moving target because it depends on the person. And I have heard people say, well, I'm a good communicator. And it's like, well, this person isn't understanding you, so you're not communicating well. So I'm not going to say you're a bad communicator, but it's not working here. So there is something new that you need to do. People listen differently. They have different cultures. And so you can't use one way on all people. When I am working with clients, I can't be the same therapist for every client. There are some clients who will talk the whole session, and I give 2 ahas, and it's like perfect. It's like, okay, next week, bye. And then there are other ones where they like, oh, are you going to say, oh, yeah. Okay, let me get my speech. You know, so I can't even be the same therapist. It's really dependent on the person's personality and what they need from me. Some people love homework. They love do you have any homework for me this week? It's like, ooh, I ain't did that all day. Yeah, let me think. Okay, so 10 hops. No, but so everyone is different. And so I can't even go into that role and say, well, I can be the same type of therapist with every single person. I can't even talk to my 2 children in the same way because they receive information differently. I can't talk to my husband and my mother in the same way. So we need to think about, like, who is the person? What does this person in particular need? What works and what doesn't? How do we know what doesn't work? You've argued with them when you've tried your communication. It hasn't worked. There are tons of ways to communicate. There are some people you may have to butter up. Some people hate that, right? There are some people where you have to be in a certain environment to talk to them. So figuring out how to talk to our people is a tremendous way that we can improve communication.
That's good. So I got the 5-minute warning.
Oh.
No, don't make eye contact. Don't make eye contact. Okay, hold on. Because I got 3 questions that I must ask.
All right. No eye contact.
Y'all, don't look over there.
All right.
Okay, we ready?
Okay.
Nedra, don't look at me. Look at me. All right. You write about loving imperfect people, or imperfect people still being deserving of love. Unpack that.
Yes, so there are there's a section there where I talk about hugging a porcupine, which is just a prickly person, right? Like, there's just some tough folks in this world. And, you know, we can love people from a distance. We can notice their stuff and choose to be in a relationship with them. And some people are just for other folks to love, right? Like, you know what? I hope you find someone. It's not going to be me. So everybody is deserving of that. And I think sometimes when we are in relationships and we get upset at people, we feel like they don't deserve it from anyone. But it's like, we all benefit from love. You know, hopefully it improves us in some way. Like, everybody needs connection, even if that's not with you. So that person that you may not want a relationship with, that person you see as such and such and so, I hope there's something positive out there for them beyond you.
All right, next question for you. And this is, how do we establish long and sustainable, healthy relationships?
We have to allow people to grow and change in the relationships.
Can you say that again?
We have to allow people to grow and change in relationships, and we need to accept who they are. And very often we want people to be a particular type of way. We love to remind them of who they were 5 years ago, or when I met you, and it's like, yeah, 20 years later, I hope you change. I hope you change from year to year, season to season. Like, that's a part of being in relationships. And if we want them to be long term, that will be a part of it. Like our friends get married and they time change. Like we shouldn't be upset at them like, oh, now she don't even want to go shopping with me all the time. It's like, she's in a different season. She's not a bad friend. It's just, you know, you'll get back to it at some point or not. And you have to pull in another friend. So allowing these shifts in people and our partners, our friends, our family members, it's important if you want to have long-term relationships with people.
Final question before we go to question and answer. If someone leaves this talk tonight and friends, family say, what's that one thing that you took away from that talk with Nedra and that other lady from Atlanta? What is something that you want the audience, because we're not self-made, you're not self-made, how can the audience be another voice for you in championing this book?
Oh, that was such a tough question. Let me think. Okay, I have 1 minute. Okay. I would love for the takeaway to be that balance is not always a 50-50 experience. It is more about creating harmony. And if, you know, maybe at the end of the month or the end of the week, if we look at our relationships and what we're doing in other areas of our life, and we're like, I gave this person at that moment the time that needed. Not like 50-50, right? But like, I needed to be 70% for my sister on that day. Now she gonna get 30 tomorrow because I just gave her 70. But I showed up well. Like, we need more connection. And I you know, there are opportunities for us to do it deeper and do it better, and to be flexible in how we show up with boundaries and how we show up with people.
I'm going to bring this microphone over to the center, and we're going to invite folks to come up. If you are not able or don't want to come up, I'm going to bring a microphone to you, so just raise your hand.
Hi, thank y'all so much, Dr. Key and Nedra. I love your newsletter, by the way.
Thank you.
My question is, when did you know, or when did you figure out that you could harness the power of stories to help others heal? Because you do it so well, so I'm just curious.
Thank you for that. I'm figuring that out right now as you say it. No, sometimes, you know, when I'm with my clients, I'll be like, is it okay if I tell a story, right? Because you don't want to like overshare, and I'm never telling anything really personal, but I try to share something where their situation will connect and they'll get like that aha. And we always read stories, like we live in narrative. If I tell you something, your brain is going to go to the point in which it has happened to you or somebody else you know. Like, we live in narrative as human beings. So I know that that is an important part of change and growth. And so I do try to think about ways like, what story can I insert here that will like move the needle? So thank you for that, because sometimes I'm like, oh, am I talking too much? But thank you, I'm not yet.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hi.
My name's Jessica. I'm in a season of work transition, and your work has helped me balance life work with work. And my question for you is, how can we carry these lessons into the workplace where there's a wide variety of literacy? And teaching with boundaries, like owning where we are and owning what we're trying to balance and practice. You said practice a lot, and that's like my word of the week. How do we carry that practice into work where there's not a lot of space?
Okay, the practice of What is the practice?
The practice of figuring out where our boundaries should and could go, and balancing that.
Yeah, I think the boundaries are with you. Oh, my Southern came boundary.
I liked
Okay.
it.
My people from Alabama, but it just came out for a minute. I think the boundaries lie in you. And sometimes when we have really good boundaries, people start to catch on, right? And in the workspace, people can get that. My friend Mia is here. I'm not going to call her out, but she's here. And we used to work together, and people would laugh at me because at 4:55, your girl was ready. Bag is packed. Why? When I got off of work, I was going to grad school, and I had an internship, and I had a full-time job. So at 4:55, I needed to be finished with my work. That was my work boundary, right? Like, I have to be finished. So I think sometimes we don't recognize the way in which we're trying to put our boundaries on other people. Like, all the work need to be done. It's like, no, girl, do your work. Don't walk around to everybody cubicle talking. Like, get your work done so you can actually leave at the time you need to leave. Instead of saying, why is everybody talking to me today? Put your headphones on, even if you're not listening to nothing, and just make them think you are so you can have your time to do your thing. So it's not always, we can go in and change the environment, but how can I show up as a boundaried being in this space where people have their own boundaries and they're doing their own thing? How do I practice mine?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, this is not made for. Hi, how are you?
Hi.
So the book challenges the idea that independence alone equals emotional health and encourages balanced connection. When you hear clients who struggle with asking for help, not from a place of past hurt or people have let them down in the past, but they struggle with asking for help because it's now a matter of self-worth. I'm not worthy of the help that I'm receiving. How does this book help them, and or what should be their first next step? And also, much like Dr. Key, I'm very self-actualized, so I'm not asking this question for myself. I am also my feedback tank is full and I don't need that. So I'm just asking in general.
So this question is for someone else.
That is correct. Anyone who might be listening to the very deep personal question that I wrote before I came here.
Okay.
Work with the hypothetical, please.
So let me go back. This hypothetical person gets a lot of value out of being independent. It's not from past hurt or anything. It's just like, I feel the value in doing things on my own.
Because the struggle with asking for help is not because of past hurt. It actually stems from self-worth. I'm not worthy of the invitation to Sunday soul food cookout.
Well, here's the thing. I'm hearing a tinge of anxiety in there, right?
I wouldn't be able to confirm or deny.
You wouldn't be able to answer that. But I'm hearing a tinge of anxiety and fear of rejection. And so this idea that people could actually you don't have to write it down because it's not for you.
But if I run into an archetype similar to who we're talking about, I want to be well positioned. As an executive coach in my profession, I want to be well positioned to respond accordingly. That's all.
But yeah, I think it's that idea that even though they're saying this, can I trust it? And not that there is some past hurt, but there is a potential in the being vulnerable enough to accept it that this person could hurt you, right? And so I'm hearing a little bit of relationship anxiety, and what I will say to that is the only cure is the practice. There is no anxiety that is healed by avoidance. And so this idea that so as hard as it may be to accept the invite, that is actually what you need to do to get over the anxiety of the invite. So you need to do that more and more and more, and recognize that it won't always work out. There is potential that the person changes something, and maybe there is a little rejection, but you have to keep going until you get to a point of trusting that new experience. So I would say the cure is the practice of the really hard thing.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hello.
Hi.
I'm Audrey. Congratulations on what is going to be another amazing release, I'm sure. We've actually spoken before. I interviewed you for Essence Magazine on an article about this kind of strict culture we're entering, with people protecting their boundaries, strict dating, really shutting things down pretty quickly. And something I wanted to ask you more about on that was the idea that there's this overcorrecting happening, which hence why we need to learn more about balance, right, at this time. What are some signs that you may be overcorrecting? How can you feel it in your body and yourself, where you're trying to make progress on protecting yourself and or setting boundaries, but how do you know when you're going too far?
A sign that you're going too far with your boundaries, I would say if everybody has the same rule. If you feel like you need to tell people up front before they even had the opportunity to violate anything, like nothing has happened, and here you are with your list. Yeah, like here's my list, read it before you talk to me. When you are inflexible, I think our boundaries are important. And there are also some times where we need to be flexible with what that looks like for people. And we need to be able to change them. If you find that you have had a hard boundary that has been necessary and it has protected you, I wonder what it would look like to go from level 5 to 4 on what that situation is.
Turn the volume down.
Turn the volume down a little bit. I used to, one of my friends, she laughed when I wrote Set Boundaries, Find Peace, because I used to have a boundary like, do not, and I think I told her up front, I gave her my boundary, do not stop by my house, don't ever come over, I don't like company, I don't want to watch TV with people, nothing, okay? Unless I'm avoiding, I told you that. So, I don't need nobody on a Sunday to come sip tea, nothing. Right, but when that changed, like years later, she was still of the mindset that I was still that person. I was like, oh my gosh, I over-boundaried. I have to go back. And I told her, I was like, actually, I'm a little more loose now. I'm a little more loose. I can come on by. Let me know about 2 hours. But you stop by, and that might be okay for me. Let me see. I have to practice my discomfort. But yeah, so it has changed. So I think if we have a hard rule forever, it's like, why do I even have this? Like, why am I keeping this? Is it necessary now? It could have been necessary in 2020, but do I need it in 2026? Do I even know any people who would need a rule like this? I came from a childhood where people needed some rules. I don't have to have some of those rules anymore. I don't even know any people who would do these things. Yeah. So we have to think about, like, does this apply anymore? Do I need it? Like, why did I have it? Are there some people who might still need it, but does everybody need it? Probably not. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
First of all, thank you both very much. My question is more on what are healthy expectations of child development. I think a lot of us, but at least me for sure, I don't really have a good gauge of that. There's so many different models and theories and different opinions. So I am curious, are there any authors that you particularly recommend in terms of like, you know, what should we expect from a 12-year-old?
Okay, so your child is 12?
I don't personally have a child, but
Okay.
I do have a child in my life who is
Okay.
10 going on 11.
This is an interesting question. With my clients, I don't suggest a lot of parenting books, right? Because I think your kids will teach you a lot of stuff on how to parent. So you don't need to read put the baby to sleep in this way and blah, blah, blah. I think you need to read books about the emotional supportive piece of being a parent, right? And things are constantly changing with kids. Books that I like right now, I like Girls on the Brink, which is about preteen girls and social media and that sort of stuff. Like those things are, you know, research-wise, that's pretty good information. But in terms of raising children, I think it's such a fast-moving pace that I have to think about that. DM me and I'm going to tell you some books. I cannot think of them off the top of my head. The Anxious Generation is really good. Girls on the Brink, I like that book. There's another book about keeping your kids close. There's another book about the middle years, like how they start to separate and why that's good that they don't want to spend time with you, because some parents need to hear that, because there is a lot of rhetoric around like, my kids don't like me no more. And it's like, yeah, they shouldn't at a certain age. They flexing their independence. That's good, right? So DM me and I'll tell you the books. I can't think.
Thank you. I will definitely do that. Just to clarify, a big part of the reason I'm asking is just for inner child healing around the things that were normalized as expectations that I'm realizing were unhealthy. So,
Dr. Nicole is coming out with a book called Inner Child. I have not read a copy yet, but I suspect it'll be pretty good. Yes.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi. Sure, that wasn't for me. Thank you both.
It was for you. You better take that
Thank you. Thank you both so much. I appreciate your work and really appreciated your presence on the Oprah No Contact episode. My question is, I am an aunt to 6 nephews. They all have your book. They're all under 8. But I have a very toxic family system, and the relationship with my sisters, who are twins, is quite challenging. What advice do you have for balancing and maintaining healthy relationships with that second generation when there's such turmoil, with the first?
Okay. 2 things. One thing is there's a part 2 to that Oprah podcast. It came out today.
I will listen on the way home.
It came out today.
Okay.
It's on YouTube and all the podcast things that you listen on. And the other thing is, I think you have to focus that relationship on the kids and know that you're in it for the kids. So a lot of this stuff, it's almost like a parenting with a co-parent who gets on your nerves all the time. It's like, it's for the kids. We got to get them to the game. Yes, they're a jerk, but it's a part of the process. If you want to have a healthy relationship with the kids, you have to deal with their parents until they're 18 and probably beyond. So if you make that your focus, like, the reason I'm in this relationship is for access. It's not for connection with these people. It's for access to their little people. I can better deal with you because now my expectations of you decrease. My expectations are now with my nephews, and our relationship. That is now my focus. So I would say deprioritize and, figure out what you can do with your nephews and not so much with the adults.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi.
congratulations on such great work that you have given to our community. And thank you for this forum. I'd like to ask if you are considering that most of your books are about bringing people together on the right side, right? Meaning that you're healing boundaries, drama-free, you know. But what about the estranged parents that you just mentioned it? Do you have any plans to address such a epidemic, which so many people don't understand and are hurting?
In which direction?
I think it's hard to say. It's, you know, the parents don't understand. The kids are saying something they don't relate to. Parents are from one generation. Kids now growing up are another generation. There's, you know, it just seems so foreign. And
Yes, so I did talk about that some in Drama Free.
Okay.
The book is not completely about estrangement, but I do talk about estrangement in that book, and certainly with clients, it is something that we talk about as they, you know, someone referenced the Oprah podcast. On Instagram, I talk about it a bit. And I do not have any plans to write a book on the topic, but Whitney Goodman, who is a therapist, and we have the same publisher, she is coming out with a book on estrangement, and she has groups, and she does tons of wonderful work on the topic. Joshua Coleman, for the parents, I think he's a wonderful resource. There is another person, Dr. Carl Palomar. He talks about estrangement as well. I think it's, you know, one of those topics that it's not a trend. I do think it's something that people are finding more support around. And so we are hearing more about it. I think people are more aware of what abuse and neglect is. And so some of the things that used to be swept under the rug, I think it's coming up. And it is causing problems in, you know, lots of families, because the real unfortunate part, I'm going to tell you, I think it's next week's newsletter. I have to see. I think my next week's newsletter might be about this. I talk about the unfortunate part of going no contact. I think for parents is, how do I say this? Just say it. They doubling down. They doubling. And you know, it's really tough to watch people, and they can be right? Like maybe you really feel like you're right, or you know, maybe you have some evidence to the contrary, but when you're in a situation when a person is willing to leave a relationship with you, you have no leverage. And that's the saddest thing to watch, a person with no leverage arguing. It's like, whoo, these parents are arguing about nothing, aren't they? So I think it's really tough, and I hope that people become more educated and aware. Because sometimes, and not just with parents, but in any relationship, when a person is bringing you a problem, it's an opportunity. They are saying, here's an opportunity for you to acknowledge this, to do something different, to support me. And again, whether it's a parent, your partner, or whoever, if you don't do this thing, the relationship can end, it can be damaged, it can, you know, even if you don't go no contact, it might be a situation where there's no connection. And so it's to our benefit to listen to anybody bringing things to us. And again, it's about managing our discomfort. I feel self-actualized as well. You know, like I'm 99.9% perfect. Right? So I'm often shocked if my kids or husband say something about me, I'm like, who could they be talking about? My husband be sending me memes about wives. I'm like, who is he married to? Like, he got a side wife. It can't be me. It can't be me. But I have to listen to it like, oh, I be doing this? That's funny. I don't think so. But Okay, a little work in progress, I guess. Listening to people is so important, and I think that's what's missing in this whole conversation of no contact. We have people saying like, but they need to, and it's like, but they don't. Because they're willing to not have the relationship, and that's really tough. Is really tough. But hopefully, I think the more we talk about this, if people care and want to be in a relationship, I think we'll start to see a shift in how people respond to people, their children in particular, coming to them with this hard information. And one of the things that I said on the Oprah podcast is we have to think about why people took so long to come to us. Sometimes we're not approachable. Sometimes when our kids in particular are telling us things, we have this level of power and authority in that relationship where we feel like we don't even have to listen to them. So it's, there's a lot to be learned. It's going to be an ongoing conversation. There are books about it. I mentioned a few folks, but I think it's important stuff, and I'm in support of it, in some cases, and others. I hope people work through it.
Can I ask a second part to that question? So many absent fathers that never showed up, didn't pay child support, didn't want to be bothered, didn't want to know, but yet the present parent, the one who stood by the child, is the one they beat up, the one they somehow have managed to forget.
Well, you can't hit a ghost.
True.
So yeah, that does happen, but I think it's some of that, and I think it's worth bringing up what resentment looks like. Yeah. Because there are some things that people haven't worked through, and you do take it out on the person that's present. It's like, when people have a hard job and they're nice to the people at work all day, and then they come home and they mean to their family. It's like, who will tolerate it? Is not that they wouldn't do it to other people. It's like, who's going to tolerate it? Who's going to accept it from me? And unfortunately, it's the person who remains present. Are we at time?
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks to everyone who asked such smart, thoughtful questions, and thanks to everyone who I'm sure is still thinking of questions. But we are at time. I wanted to let folks know that all of the books, all of Nedra's books are signed, so you can grab a book and head on home. You can buy multiple books, and you can share them with people in your life. Start a book club. Maybe you'll meet someone here that you could have a book club with. We would love that. I want to once again thank the Georgia Center for the book. I want to thank all of the employees and volunteers from the First Baptist Church of Decatur who make this space so welcoming and special for us. I want to thank Lakeysha Key Hallmon, Dr. Lakeysha Key Hallmon, for being a beautiful interviewer. Please check out her book. It is beautiful. And Nedra Glover Tawwab, thank you so much for being with us tonight.
All right, y'all. This was a beautiful Atlanta night. Yes. Do y'all want to know how we can make it better? Yes. Buy books. All right? Don't just buy one for you. If you can afford it, can you buy at least 2 and read this phenomenal love offering with someone else? I finished the book. I've annotated this book. It is phenomenal. But the best way to love on an author who gives humanity with just a small portion of her gifts, the best way to love on an author is to buy books, write a review, talk about how powerful, I'm giving you a lot, how powerful tonight was, and also to support our independent bookstores in Atlanta as well.